Hey there. All right. So we just wrapped day 4 of the Quantum Sales Growth Summit, and I found it to be a very powerful day and saw so many of you moved by the visualization we did at the end. So if you didn't catch it live, go back and watch it and put yourself through the visualization as well, because it really is going to help you tap into the highest frequency of possibility in your sales, your business, and your life right now. And I was talking with my team afterwards, and I was like, gosh, there was like 10 to 15 minutes of things that I wanted to teach and share and talk about more than we had time for it today. And I am occasionally known to be long-winded. So here we are. So I'm literally in my living room right now. I grabbed some lunch. I ate. I'm back. I've got my tea here. So I'm enjoying that. And I wanted to do a bit of a informal Q&A and also talk about decision making and this concept of decision making from the end. So again, if you are watching this and you haven't yet watched day 4 of the summit, go back and watch that, because there's very helpful context for what we're going to talk about today in that. And in fact, I would say go watch the whole thing like right now. It will be worth it. Make the time to do it. And so with that, though, I wanted to follow up because we shared a bit about how you can go deeper in working with us if what we've been talking about has been resonating over the past 4 days. And we just spent 4 really powerful days together. We're going to be coming back together tomorrow to talk more about implementation, and I'll be spending more time with everyone who's there live. So that's going to be really, really cool to get to spend more time together. But at the end of the day, just like I talked about today, your actual transformation and you getting to experience living as that fullest expression that wants to come out of you right now, that's going to come from taking the next step for you. And if you haven't caught on by now, She Sells is about more than just sales. We lead with sales. We're great at sales. We help with sales. Our heart and our passion is in helping you become as abundant as possible so that you can live out the fullest life that you desire to live. And the inner transformation is where the sales growth really comes from. So with that, I wanted to pop on and talk about how I've learned to make decisions in my life. And really, my goal and my intention is that this is going to be really helpful for you if you are feeling called to invest in yourself and working with us, whether through the 10K Club, which is for women looking to break 6 figures this year, or the 50K Club, which is my high-level mastermind for women who are already at the 6-figure level and they want to expand and elevate to multi-6 or 7. Or we have private coaching options, et cetera. So you can always just book a call with us and we can talk through the options. But our 2 core programs that we're enrolling in right now are 10K and 50K clubs. And we've got bonuses that we're doing right now too. Literally right now, that will end in, well, one ends tomorrow, one ends Monday, that you can take advantage of too. So again, if you want to learn all about that, go back, watch the replay. I'm not going to talk through all that right now. But what I do want to talk about is if you are someone who is feeling called to move forward and it's speaking to your soul, and you know that you're ready for more, and you know that you're ready to ascend, and you know that you're ready to rise, and you know that you're ready to experience success in a different way than you've been taught you have to show up in order to have success. I want to help you get through some of the questions that our analytical mind can sometimes raise when we are about to quantum leap, to help you make an empowered decision for you. So let's talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to talk about what can come up sometimes when we are feeling called to invest in ourselves. There's common things that show up. Number 1, I want to do this, but I want to do this, but number 1, I don't have the money, right? That's so common for our brain to tell us that. I want you to go back and remember what we talked about on Tuesday, on day 2 with money. The way that money works is you make the decision and then the money comes. This is also how it works on a subconscious programming level. This is neuroscience. Because your brain is wired to conserve energy, it's not going to go to work helping you think of ways you could make it happen until you've made a committed decision. And by a committed decision, I mean something that is non-negotiable, i.e., you put a deposit down. This is so critical. And this was how I had my first real big quantum leap. I felt called intuitively to invest in myself at what for me at the time was a very high level, $50,000 for 6 months of private mentoring. And I didn't have the money. I didn't. It was way more than I'd ever invested in myself. I had done like 5-figure investments, but I'd never done that. And I had this knowing though, that I had to do it. It was incredibly uncomfortable. And I honestly spent a couple days in like back and forth, just low vibe energy, questioning myself about it. And now I'm like, man, I didn't need to waste that time or that energy because I know what I know now. But once I finally made the decision, like, yes, this is happening, I remembered that I had enough on a credit card, enough room on a credit card to put a deposit down. It's like a $20,000 deposit. And it still felt very uncomfortable and very stretchy, but I had decided to do it. And so from that place, my brain gave me the idea, here's what you need to do. It was still uncomfortable. Like I said, when you are quantum leaping, when you're unlocking your next level of sales potential, which isn't just about sales potential, it's your life unfolding the way you want it. It will be very uncomfortable. All right. But that is a requirement for your growth. So you must go through that in order to get the reward on the other side. So you got to decide, what am I more committed to? Where I am now in my comfort, or actually experiencing what's possible when I say yes to following my gut and following my calling and saying yes to my vision and my desires. So the money comes after. This is also, this is the law of sufficiency and abundance. You will always have what you need to get started. So maybe you're looking at our programs and you're saying, gosh, I'd love to do it. But I'm going to wait until I have the money. You won't have the money because you haven't made a committed decision. You will, if it is speaking to you, there will always be a way for you to get started. Whether it's putting it on a credit card, doing a payment plan option, which we have very reasonable payment plan options as well. Something literally just, I've got some energy flow and something just fell off my desk. Putting it on using a deposit on the credit card. We've got a great funding partner as well, which my team can send you the link to. If you don't have it, it should be in the replay email here as well. And maybe we'll even link it below this video. We'll see. But that company, 7 Figures Funding, you've got to follow my link to apply, but they will tell you they do specifically funding for personal development and for coaching, which is beautiful. It does not touch your credit to find out what you're pre-qualified for. And they do a really, really good job too. I personally have gone through their process because I wanted to experience it for myself and make sure that I felt good about referring my clients to it. And quite a few of our clients have been able to get into the programs and receive the transformation that they wanted by leveraging those resources. So again, money is the how of the vision, and money wants to support you in your vision. All right. It's how it works. But if you say, well, I don't have the money, so I can't do it. Number one, of course you don't have the money, because if you had all the money in the world and you didn't need any more, then you may not need to do this, right? Our women come in, our clients come in ready for more abundance, for more prosperity, for more growth in that area. And so that's exactly why you need to do it. So there's that. So we always find the money, but we have to make a committed decision first. And so doing something that's non-negotiable, burn the ships. Doing that is when afterwards more money comes in and your brain gives you ideas for how to get the resources. All right. But I want you to tap back into the money training we did on Tuesday, because money is meant to circulate. So what I find too, for a lot of the members of our community, is that there can be fear about either putting it on a credit card or leveraging savings or investment to invest in themselves. And I'll never tell someone what your money rules should be. I don't do that. But what I do say is think for yourself. Like, think for yourself about what your own money rules are going to be. So often we just inherit rules that we live by and that keep us confined and constrained, without stopping to think for ourselves. Like I said earlier in the week, question everything, question what's true for you. If you check in with your soul and it's like, no, for whatever reason, I don't use credit cards in my life, like, that's fine. I respect that. So often I see women holding themselves back when they've actually got the room on a credit card to invest in themselves. And I have yet to find a big time entrepreneur, business owner, successful company that doesn't operate or leverage debt. Like, it's part of the economy. I personally don't have any judgment on it. I leveraged it to do what I needed to do to get my quantum leap. So, or savings, right? We act like the savings money isn't ours. We act like the 401k isn't ours. We act like we can't touch it. Again, I'm not going to tell you what your money rules need to be. You choose for yourself. What I care about is that you are in alignment with what your truth is. But if we act like if we tap something, it'll never come back, that's actually, you're kinking the hose of money. So when we're money wants to be used for your expansion. That's actually how you get more money to come. So if there's something you want to invest in that's going to expand you and get you closer to your ultimate goal, more money comes in to support that, but you have to use it. You have to use it. So that's how it works. I could do a 12-hour masterclass on money right now. I'm not going to, because no one has that time. At least I don't. But we do way more money mindset training with our clients and our programs, and they develop a really beautiful wealth consciousness and mindset around money that allows it to flow easily for them at higher levels as they desire. Something else sometimes people will say is like, oh, I'll do this when I complete with my current coach. I'm already working in coaching. So like I said today in the training, I work with multiple mentors, and I don't believe in limiting myself because I'm already working with one person. I think it would be kind of like having a primary care doctor and realizing you need to get your teeth cleaned, but being like, oh, I can't get my teeth cleaned until I finish with my primary care doctor. Right? It's like we have different specialists for different areas of our life, and women who are really in their power. And you heard from some of them this week, get the support that they desire when they desire it, because that is part of the up level. So this ties in with timing. And sometimes there's a thought of like, oh, I'll do it when, or the time isn't right. The time is never going to be right. And this is a big lie your brain will tell you, that it's not the right time. And it is literally a convenient way of stopping you from taking action and keeping you small, okay, and not taking the action. So when I've actually never really used this. Like, I can't think of a time I've used this excuse. It's just like low vibe to me. Here's what I would say about that. When I had my first quantum leap, my first son was 3 months old. And my plan was, I'm just going to coast for a while. I'm just going to coast. I was wrapping up with a mentor, and I had like a few months left with her, but I wasn't planning on, I was actually planning on like taking some time off. I was still going to run my business and do all that, because I was the breadwinner, but I wasn't planning on like having a heavy investment period or doing something radically different. My intuition said, you gotta take action. Like, if you're serious about getting different results, you need to move. And so the timing wasn't convenient. And yet, because I trust that my higher consciousness knows better for me than my limited ego mind, and my intuition will always guide me in the right direction, I said yes, even though I wasn't planning on doing it, even though the timing didn't feel convenient. If I hadn't said yes, I don't even know where my life would be right now. I don't think we'd be here. I don't think my family would be in this house. I don't think my husband would have been retired to be able to go to medical school like he's doing right now. My kids would have a very different life. So if I had let the excuse of timing get in the way, I don't think you would be sitting here watching this video from me right now. Okay. So here's the deal. Like, if you intuitively are feeling called to invest in yourself, and this is speaking with you, and it's like, oh, this sounds so good. But you're saying any of these things to yourself and like talking yourself out of it, what you're actually in fear of is that it's not going to work. All right. Here's what I know. It works. If you apply what we're talking about, it will work. So you've got to ask yourself, Am I ready to transform? Am I willing to get the transformation? Am I willing to sacrifice, not what you think, but sacrifice old ways of being, old habits, old limiting beliefs? For some of you, it's old partnerships or things that really aren't aligned anyway, and you're like really wanting to work with a different caliber of client, or you're wanting to step into a different role in corporate. Are you willing to sacrifice the lower level to be able to receive the higher level? That's what this is about. Are you willing to? Because if you're willing to, that's all we need to work with. All right. You don't need to know the how. You don't need to know the how. That's me and my team. That's what we help with. You just have to say yes. You just have to say yes. So again, the brain will tell you all of these things when you feel called to change. And there is neuroscience behind this. There's psychology behind this. When you say, I'm ready to transform, the ego freaks out, because the whole job of the brain is to keep you safe. And what we often settle for in our lives is a level of quote unquote safety and security, quote unquote security, doing what we've done before and getting the same results that we've gotten before. And we settle for that because we actually listen to the lies that our brain is telling us. Your brain is not designed to help you expand and achieve everything you want. Now, if you give it that command and you work with it the way we're going to teach you, it will. But the job of the brain is to, again, keep you alive. So when you decide to change, your brain actually views that as a death of the old self, and it will come up with every thought it can give you to stop you from taking action, because it does not know what life is like on the other side. So it will say things like, like, oh, you don't have the money, or you don't have the time, or you'll just like forget to go follow up and book the call. You have to understand what's going on. I found it so empowering to study psychology and neuroscience at a deep level, because when you know what's going on, you can work through the limiting beliefs. All your brain is trying to do is to get you to stop taking action towards the thing that would actually get you where you want to go. All right. These are the limiting programs. So you have to remember, just because you think a thought, it does not mean it's true. Just because you think a thought, it doesn't mean it's true. It's a program. And there's a real quick way to know if the thoughts you're thinking are true. How do you feel when you think them? If they feel limited, fear-based, if they create self-doubt, if they feel like anxiety, overwhelm, grief, depression, confusion, they're not true. They're old limiting programs. If the thought you're thinking, even though it scares you, like, yeah, I'm going to invest in myself, if it feels expansive, if it feels exciting, if it feels like joy, gratitude, even though there's discomfort, because there will be discomfort, okay? But if you have those feelings associated with it, or the thought of like, yes, I can have what I want. I can elevate. I can ascend. I am unlimited. This is possible. I can have this, and I can have this now. Like, how do you feel in your body when you think those thoughts, or when you say those things out loud? Very different, no doubt, right? That's your body's way of communicating that is actually your truth. That is actually your truth. So again, like we talked about today, making decisions based on your comfort will never lead to your growth. Comfort doesn't lead to growth. It leads to stagnation. This is really important to remember. And here's the thing too. It's not actually comfortable. Like, staying stuck isn't actually comfortable. I stayed stuck for over a decade. It was really uncomfortable. It was really, really uncomfortable. I didn't like my life in many ways. I was okay. I was an example of like good, but not great. And I wanted great. I kind of woke up one day and realized that I was the only one who could give myself permission to go for what I wanted, and got conscious to how much I had been unconsciously giving my power away to other people. Sometimes they were real people. Sometimes it was just imagined in my head. But to tell me that I was good enough, or that it was time, or that I could use my resources to invest in myself. And I wasn't in my power at all. And when I woke up and realized that no one was going to come tell me it was time, and no one was going to come tell me that I was good enough, and no one was going to come tell me that it was okay to use my money or my resources for what I wanted to. And I started giving myself permission to live life the way that I felt called. Everything changed. Everything changed. And that transformation, again, it involved getting uncomfortable, but damn, like I love myself. I love my life. I am so proud of myself. I'm not saying there's not times that are hard. I'm not saying there aren't times where I'm challenged like every day. There's always another level that I'm getting to learn and rise to as well. But the woman I am today, because I chose to trust myself and say yes, and not listen to the lies my brain was telling me about, you can't do it, you don't have the money, it's not the right time. Again, radically different woman and life circumstances than we would be experiencing if I hadn't listened to that. So I know I'm long-winded again here, but I think these things are really important. Let's talk about the core message of our brand is actually to trust yourself. And this is one of the most empowering transformations that happened in my life, when I did learn to listen to my intuition and to make decisions from that and learn to trust myself again. And I want to encourage you too with this. So this concept of decision-making from the end, which does involve you trusting yourself. The way to make the most empowered choice for you is to say, if I knew my success was guaranteed, what would I do? That is your answer. You have to do that. That's your answer. And I want you to, this was very helpful to me. Go back and check your receipts. Has there ever been a time where you intuitively felt guided to take an action and you did it and it didn't turn into something great? And by the way, if there has been, all that means is that it just hasn't played all the way out yet. That's all it is. So have you ever truly trusted yourself and gone for it and quantum leaped and not been so glad that you did? You know, every time I invest in myself in a way that actually changes me, it's at a very uncomfortable level. I find, again, comfortable investments, things that are easy, small, like I don't really get any growth from those. So it's the very act of being willing to show up and invest in myself with the end result in mind. Again, that was how in my mind, I was like, I'd heard you should invest 5 to 10% in coaching of what you want to make the next year. And I was like, well, I want to make $1 million. I want to sell $1 million, make that. And so when I was offered the opportunity to invest $50,000 in myself in coaching, I said, what would the woman who's making what would she do? Well, if she invested 5 to 10% in herself, that would be a $50,000 investment. Here we go. And I went on to do that in 6 months, and then go on and invest in an actual $100,000 investment in myself after that. So it kept growing and scaling, and I've that's part of expansion. But so decision-making from the end is, it's critical. It is a critical element of your growth and your quantum leaping, is making decisions based on, if your end result was guaranteed, what would you do? That will always lead you down the right path. It will always steer you in the right direction. And maybe in your business or in your sales, you don't have an example like that yet, like I do, but I'm certain in your life that you have a time where you followed your intuition and your guidance system, and you made a decision based on the end result that you wanted, and you experienced something really beautiful out of it. I share this story when I'm on stage, and we will wrap up, momentarily here, I promise. But I share this story when I'm on stage at conferences. There was that same time in my life when I was really stuck and struggling, and in stagnation in my business, and on the outside looking like I had it all together. But on the inside, I was struggling with panic attacks, anxiety, and eating disorder. I was also in a really unhealthy marriage. Now I take full accountability. Like, he was just a vibrational match for me. So, you know, I take ownership of that, but it really wasn't great. And I reached a point where I knew I had to make some major life changes. And it was right before I turned 28. And 28 is my favorite number. I was born on the 28th. I see 28s everywhere. And I decided in that moment to do a lot of things differently, because I didn't want to go through my 28th year with the same limitation that I'd been experiencing for quite some time before that. I wanted to give myself the gift of the opportunity to see what was possible with my life. And I made the choice to not just leave the corporate job that was soul sucking in many ways. And I really didn't have too good of a plan on the other side of that. That's another story for another day. But I also made the decision to leave the marriage. And I was really nervous about judgment and fear and would I find love again and all of that. But I trusted myself. And 6 months to the day of my 28th birthday, I was at a networking event, and someone walks up to me and says hi. And within 5 minutes of talking to him, I knew that he was my partner. He was the one. I wasn't planning on that, certainly not at that time in my life. But that was Jason, who is now my husband. We've been together for many years now. And had I not listened to my intuition then and followed my guidance and trusted myself, not only would I not have a very different romantic partnership that I'm so grateful I have, but our children wouldn't be on this planet. Our 2 little boys wouldn't be on this planet. So I say all of that to say, if you are feeling called to invest in yourself, you are feeling called to elevate, and you are feeling called to expand, yes, there will be fear. Yes, there will be discomfort. Again, comfort never leads to growth. But my team and I are here to help. We're here to support you. Everything you want lives on the other side of fear. It does. And for those who are willing to take action in spite of that and trust themselves, they get the reward. They get the transformation. So if that's you, I'm here to support you. My team is here to support you. And we look forward to serving you. See you tomorrow for day 5. It's going to be really, really beautiful. Bye for now.